So then welcome along then to our big match build-up show after the international break. Clive joins me on the line for this. I guess we're going to go for an ugly inside uncut on this one. We're trying our best to get a live show out, but I can't quite get to grips with the OBS machine and the operating system, so we're going to go the old-fashioned way, and this will be available to download just as an uncut version, as a podcast. Clive, how you been? And an England game to talk about.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the England game, very impressed with the atmosphere, other than that wretched band, of course, that we've got. But, yeah, it was a really, really good night out. I consider it an honour, really, to have been able to, as part of my job, to take a UEFA delegate round for 2 days, president of the Malta Football Association and a representative of the Football Association, and ended up having dinner with the referees. So... and they're not as bad as they're all made out, other than Clattenburg, of course. But yeah, they're quite human, and they're like us. They talk about handballs, they talk about VAR, they talk about Brexit.
Oh,
probably the favourite conversation was Brexit, sadly. But no, they have got that enthusiasm for football, and someone's got to do the job. I wouldn't, and fair play to them. And you feel. One of the subjects which I found quite interesting was this new sin bin that's been brought in at local levels, where when players show dissent to the referee, they're sin bin for 10 minutes. And apparently it's working quite well. I look back on my days of playing on Riverside Park, and Test Park, and some of the abuse the poor referees used to get. And, yeah, I think it's a very simple, good idea. But I could never see it working with some of the language I used to encounter. Mm-hmm. So, but maybe things have changed. Maybe, if people do keep getting sin-binned for 10 minutes, but maybe I knew a player, for instance, who's a brilliant player, but he couldn't keep his gob shut to the referee. Every single decision was contested. So maybe these guys will learn. Maybe, and the game can flow better.
Well, Clive, we digress. But
yes, we do.
A fantastic atmosphere at the England game on Tuesday night. And I selected a seat over in the chapel stand because when they had the email through from the England newsletter, the supporters club, they said the chapel will be the designated England supporters end. And just my bloody luck, I was right next to the band.
Yeah, well, they do. I suppose people do take their lead from the band, but I've always felt that it's supporters that make an atmosphere, not a drum, not a band. Supporters can sing. Okay, so the Kosovans did have a drum, but they didn't need a drum to get themselves going. Their own fans got the atmosphere going, and it was interesting to see that they were dotted all around the stadium. So clearly, I'd imagine they got their tickets from Kosovans that are actually living in England rather than Kosovans that have travelled to the game. But a wonderful atmosphere that it was, and it really made for probably one of the best internationals in a long time. You can pick your bones out of the defending, okay, but it's 8 goals, it's hugely entertaining, and it's exciting. And I think people will want to go back and see more. I
am fuming, mate, to be honest. I'll tell you why, because it was an absolute carnage getting into the ground last night.
Right, okay. I heard there was problems with the turnstiles, yeah.
That's right, waiting up to sort of 30 minutes, some people waiting up to an hour just to get through the queues. There was great big queues, basically kind of wheeling round, kind of curling around the edge of the stadium. And I missed the first Kosovo goal, I missed the national anthems, and we got to the ground at 7:15. We got in there sort of 2 minutes after kickoff. And
crikey, okay.
8 goals. And I didn't witness one single goal down my end. Harry Kane, of course, missed the penalty, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did, which would have made it 6-3, which would have been the first 6-3 since the famous drubbing of Manchester United.
Indeed.
At Southampton. But disappointing that the turns... Well, I don't know what went wrong. It was a technical issue, obviously. But again, and the fact that the Kosovan team turned up late because of the traffic situation with the M27 being closed, and they were coming in from the Aegeus Bowl. They were staying in the hotel there, and they never arrived, I believe, at the stadium till 7:15. So you'd imagine that the authorities could have put the game back quarter of an hour, half an hour, just to let everybody in, just as well as the traffic situation, because people coming into the game from different directions than with a normal Saints game. would have encountered huge problems. Anytime after 6 o'clock, it was gridlock at the bottom of town.
It was gridlock all around town, and the traffic getting out of town after the game was just as bad as well. But we are digressing.
The football won, Freddie. The football won. You know, it was a real great advert for Southampton.
Yeah.
A bit disappointed with some of the TV interviews, you know, saying, oh, aren't you disappointed it's not at Wembley and stuff, like saying things like that. And also BBC pointing out about Mings was going to make his debut and we'd discarded Mings. Well, yeah, everybody makes mistakes with players. What about the players we've provided for England over the years? How about mentioning some of those? You know, especially the under-23s, under-21s, whatever they are, where Southampton's got a long established record of providing players for that team. So, bit disappointed at the way the media look at us. But then, what's new, mate?
Well, to be honest, I'm all for the England team to go on tour around the grounds.
Yes.
You know, a great opportunity for the city and the surrounding sort of neighbouring towns and cities, and of course the fans of Southampton to see the national team come to St Mary's. But look, we're here to talk about Sheffield United then at the weekend.
Yes, we
Clive.
are.
10 days off, almost sort of away from football, Premier League football. But let's just quickly review and just touch upon the Manchester United game before we get to Sheffield. Vestergaard's first goal. I mean, we've probably talked about it dozens of times through the pubs and social meetings since then, and had our own reviews and verdicts. But let's start with the positives then. Firstly, Vestergaard's first goal, leaping above. I'm going to correct myself. I said it was Maguire in our verdict or our radio show last week, but it was Lindelof. He leaps and nods in his goal. Yeah,
and it was a cross that was hung up there a bit. So his height definitely came as an advantage at the right time, and he was in the right place, you know. And thank goodness, because I thought we deserved a goal with the way we were pressing. Plus side, we started fantastically well, but we all know that the high press is very dangerous in the fact that if the other team get beyond you, then there's not a lot, you know, in terms of cover for the defence. And that's exactly how United scored, because there was a big, huge gap between midfield and our defence, which they utilised. And then the next 20 minutes were very worrying because they took a real firm grip on the game. But what I think the fans can take from this game, and I was elated with the way that we stuck, once we got that equaliser, that the fans stuck with the team. They realised the situation, especially after the sending off. We've got a bit of grit about us, a lot more fight and a little bit more nous. I know we still seem to make our own problems at the back, but in fact, when it went 1-1 and he brought Stuart Armstrong on, I thought that's exactly the right substitution. Give a bit more legs in the midfield, start pushing on even more to United, and I really fancied it. Then, of course, the sending off came. But those last few minutes, I really saw the crowd come together, and that gives me a lot of heart. You know, when the whole ground starts singing, it's fantastic, and you can feel that transfer to the players whose legs must have been pretty much gone when you've had over 20 minutes to survive. At the end of what was a tough game anyway. Your legs start to feel like jelly after 80 minutes. And I think the fans got us over the line that day. I really do. And I loved seeing that. That is just what we are all about, I think.
I want to highlight, actually, the two midfielders, Romeo and Højbjerg, actually. In that first half, I was critical of those. I think they were left out of position quite a number of times, but they picked themselves up in the second half and left everything out there by the full-time whistle.
They did. They recovered. I mean, a lot of passes were going astray first half, weren't they? We were creating some okay situations, but that last third, it wasn't happening, and it's really difficult when that breaks down and you're 1-0 down anyway. It's good, I think, to come back from that was a huge result, and it bodes well for the forthcoming games. Yeah,
and it was a show of character. In fact, this is the sort of game, say we go 10 men down 2 years ago under Pellegrino or Mark Hughes, we would have just sort of rolled over and allowed Man United to come back at us and probably put 3 or 4 away.
Yeah, I think there's a spirit in the camp there. You can see it in some of the clips in the training, but training is one thing, doing it on the pitch is another. But they did do it that last 20 minutes. They really, really dug in, and it was a great team effort. and a great effort, as I say, by the fans.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to see them at the start of games like that, the whole ground together. You know, this stand up if you love the Saints. Well, why not? Why not? Let's get the whole stadium on our feet. Because you talk about some of these places are fortresses. Well, St Mary's can be a fortress, but it's up to the fans to really, maybe like they did, realise the situation of these games.
Well, Danso is coming away from this game, obviously with a red card and a suspension.
Yeah.
It is his third yellow card of as many appearances, I think, in a Southampton shirt. So I think he's got a lot to learn, probably a lot to dwell upon whilst he's been away. I guess with Austria this week, in fact, probably just thinking about the game ahead or the game that he will be missing. I think it'll be a big miss, in fact, at Bramall Lane. Yeah,
I think he will. It gives us less flexibility to do different things at the back. But, you know, there's enough in that team to get a result up there. So, yes, it's a miss. It's a bit like Redmond was a big miss against United. But Buffal came in, played very, very well. And put in the effort, and I think the fans saw that, and they're really taking to him.
Danso's got this thing to his locker now as well. We've finally got a threat from throw-ins, and also that Ralph is now employing this 4-2-2-2. He's finally got the personnel to play with it. It's probably going to be a like-for-like replacement, though, isn't it? Bertrand has been seen in training this week and is likely to return to the first team.
Yeah, well, we'll see on that one. But when you mentioned throw-ins, Freddie, I just think Cardiff City, and that's pretty much the only tactic they had. So, whilst it is a positive that we've got a threat from throw-ins, when you look at the stats, I think when we had Rory Delap, I think we scored from one throw-in in God knows how many years. So, yeah, it's a threat. It's a bit like when it goes for a corner and everyone gets excited, and we get one goal every blue moon. But with the guys we've got at the back there, you know, with Vestergaard and Jan
Bednarek.
I always forget. There's too many Yannicks. Bednarek. Yeah, with Bednarek there, you know, there's a good aerial threat, and we should be doing things, especially with Prowsey in the team taking the kicks, because he can put it in the right areas. So I'm really hoping over a season that proves a positive thing. But the throw-ins, I don't get too excited by. I hope I'm wrong. And we do get, you know, a few goals, but generally teams in the Prem are pretty clued up to it.
Yeah, and I think we've also got to look out for this because we are playing this high press system. It also comes with a danger of yellow cards. And Gineppo, again, another prime example of picking up too many already, almost 2-3 appearances. He picked up apparently 11 yellow cards last season in the Belgian league, so he's quite clumsy. He needs to be aware of himself too.
Yeah, I think it's just a learning process, isn't it? Don't forget these guys are coming in from different leagues, different pace of the game. And it does take a few games to get used to it. And clearly, I think Danso would have learned from, especially the second challenge, because you could see it coming from 10 metres away, couldn't you? And you just knew. So it's about being wise and showing a bit more nous, I think. And that will come with time. I think we've got a great team spirit, and I think the guys will improve.
Danso's foul and his red card, I said to Nick that it was something out of Francis Benali's DVDs.
Yes, it was. But unlike the one at Wimbledon, he didn't put the guy on the moon. But it was quite something, because you could see it coming, couldn't you? You knew what was happening. You knew where it was going. Shame it wasn't another player that could have just taken a booking for that one, because United were in a good position, but was it a goal? No, they were still 45, 50 metres from goal, weren't they? So a bit unnecessary, really. But you learn. Yeah, we hope we learn.
Yeah, well, this is what Ralph said. You know, when he first came in, we either win or we learn, and we certainly had something to learn about, especially Kevin Danso to think about over this last 10 days. But we do travel to Bramall Lane, and do we have something to worry about up top? Che Adams, of course, signing the summer £15 million, going back to his old club. There's a little bit of pressure mounting on his young shoulders. There is.
He needs a goal. Quite clearly, he needs a goal. And you can see the confidence dipping a little bit as the games go by. I think a goal would change his whole demeanour. I watch him and I see a lot of things that he does are absolutely right. He's working the centre halves. touch, again, that comes with time. That's the difference between the Championship and the Premiership. That first touch on the ball, and you just don't get the time with the defenders in the Premier League. So,
I think he'll find his pace. I think he'll find his rhythm eventually. And as you say, I think he just needs that one goal, just off his shin, off his bum. Who cares?
Yeah.
As long as it goes in the back of the net. I believe that he will almost certainly reach double figures this season. As long as he, as soon as he starts scoring, I think he'll go on a bit of a streak.
Yeah, I think as well, you see a lot of his goals for Birmingham were where he picked up, he sensed something that happened. They weren't like beating 3 players and shooting, 1 or 2 shooting in the top corner, but a lot of his goals were where he sensed the danger, and that's an instinct thing. And it is different in the Premiership, but I'm really hopeful that once he gets that first goal, the confidence will, start flowing, and he won't think about it. I think the minute you start thinking about things too much, then you have a problem. So you need it to be instinctive.
Yeah, and I think Danny Ings is starting to become an instinctive forward with the goal against...
Instinctive.
His intuition. Intuitive.
He's an intelligent... Freddie is a very intelligent player, Danny Ings. I hear a lot of criticism from him, but he sees things before the other guys. It's just sometimes that final delivery and that finishing, there's been a few chances he should have put away, really, by his standards.
Yeah. Look, Sheffield United, 5 points from 4 games. What have you made of them so far this Premier League season? Last weekend, or the last time out in the Prem, it was a result, almost a draw, from 2-0 down away at Chelsea.
Freddie, that's a fantastic result from 2-0 down. And that speaks volumes for their organisation and their determination. Teams coming up have always got that enthusiasm in the first 10 games, I think. And that's something we need to be wary of. And Chris Wilder, if you look at his record, he's a very good organiser of teams. Make them hard to beat. Don't give stuff away. Don't, like I keep saying about Saints, be a bit more mean defensively. So, I'm very impressed with Sheffield United compared to where I thought they might be.
Of course, at the beginning of the season, a lot of people tipping them to go down.
Well, I think their fans will probably think it's going to be a struggle at some point in the season. We'll have, this is their honeymoon period right now, and they will see Saints as a very viable 3 points, which might be a good thing, because if they go at us, we're more likely to be able to utilise the spaces behind. Do we know on injuries what the situation is? Or?
Well, this brings me to my next point. Nathan Redmond is still likely to be out. What did they say? 2 to 3 weeks when he came off injured at Fulham. I think he might return. Perhaps Bournemouth is the target, but Nathan Redmond, could be said another great loss for the team at the weekend.
Of course, as he was at the United game. But that just again narrows down our options, doesn't it? Really.
But we've also got Djenepo to return back, and Boufal seems to come back with a brand new attitude.
Yes, Boufal was very positive against United. Redmond does give us a bit of an X factor, I think. The defenders are starting to fear him. When he gets, a bit like you saw with Sterling last night, the minute he gets the ball under control and is, running at the opposition's goal, defenders hate it, and that's the situation with Redmond, and we will miss that kind of quality.
All right, long trip to South Yorkshire then at the weekend, Clive. Any recommendations? I'm going to put you on the spot. Any recommendations for pubs?
No, I haven't got a clue, mate. I haven't got a clue. I haven't been up there for years. When I went to that League Cup game, I got there at the last minute, so I can't tell you, Freddie. I'm sorry, mate, but went there in '77, I think, as a kid. So that was a feisty old day. 2-2. It might be that on Saturday, Freddie.
Wow, Desmond. To be honest, that wouldn't be such a bad result either to take away.
It wouldn't. It wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. I think that fair enough. A lot of people would be hoping for a Saints win there, but they're a tougher nut to crack than I think most people think.
All right, so we started the show then with the England and the England result, if you like. And of course, Tuesday was the hot topic, the hot cakes selling on the ticket office, tickets for the cup draw down the road. Have you got yours yet?
Yes, I got mine, Freddie. I got mine. Yeah. Tin hats at the ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, all sorted. Just got to sort the travel out. So, yeah, it's, of course, it's very difficult not to think about it, but we have got 2 massive league games before that game, and that should be where our attention is right now. But, it is what it is.
We're all looking forward to it. But look, it's Sheffield at the weekend. I think we've got to also look for 3 points against Bournemouth, the imposter of the South Coast derby.
The imposter.
Yeah. Right, great stuff then, Clive. Good to speak to you. And we'll speak again soon.
Cheers, Freddie. All the best, mate.